What's up, guys? Jar here, back with another video. Basically, in this video, I'm gonna be explaining why your clothing brand ads are performing like shit post Andromeda, and basically how to solve that. To give you some context, this is me. I'm Jar, 21-year-old, seven-figure clothing brand owner. Here's a little sales screenshot for you, and here's my brand. This is actually a new drop that I'm working on. I shot some content for the warehouse. I shot some content in the warehouse today, and yeah, just wanted to share that with y'all. But basically, let's just dive right into it. The first reason why your clothing brand ads are performing like shit is that you have a chaotic strategy. So when I talk to a lot of brand owners in my mentorship, I noticed that a lot of them have very sporadic and a chaotic strategy when it comes to meta ads and ads in general, in the sense of they're just making too many tweaks in their ad account. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a bad day of performance one day, so that they end up killing ads or campaign, and then they end up testing too many things at one time. So it really you know introduces volatility into the ad account essentially, and it's basically the opposite of stable and systematic, right? And this is your ultimate goal when running and optimizing your ad account, is to have something that's stable and systematic, in the sense of it's like a conveyor belt, right? An assembly line, in the sense that everything's moving good, moving well-oiled machine, and nothing's really chaotic. You know what I'm saying? Because when you introduce so many variables, whether that be creative testing, or spiking budgets, or surf scaling, or what have it, even doing things like CRO tests, you're essentially destabilizing the funnel, right? So when you think about a science experiment, right, you typically have a hypothesis, right? And then from your hypothesis, right, you want to test that. So you're going to isolate all your variables, and you're going to have an independent variable, and basically with that variable you're just changing that one thing, right? So now you can see, based off the results, whether that variable that you changed had a positive or negative impact, you know to your ad account essentially, or to your overall business as a whole, right? So when you introduce a lot of variables at one time, right, essentially what you're doing is not giving yourself that feedback loop on, okay, boom, I did X and Z happened, essentially. You know what I'm saying? So when you launch a creative test, right, and then you also spike budgets, and then you also kill ads, and then you also launch CRO tests, essentially you're just introducing a lot of chaos to your overall funnel as a whole, and you're making the result very unstable. And yeah, that's ultimately not the best approach. So basically what I do is, on a 7-day basis, like every Monday essentially, I look at the past 7 days of data, right? And essentially I just launch my new creative test. And this is another thing, I only launch creatives if my efficiency is not where it wants to be, or it needs to be. You know what I mean? So like, let's say my CPA, right, or overall MER as a business, right? I like to look at NCPA and AMER, just because it shows a true indicator on new customer acquisition, right? Basically, this is how much it costs to acquire a new customer, and this is essentially your ROAS for a new customer level at a business level, right? And essentially, right, when you're looking at these metrics, right, if you're hitting your KPI, because obviously you have break-even ROAS and KPIs that you need to hit in order to scale, right? If you're hitting that KPI, then you already solved the problem, and you just need to scale your budgets. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said in the past diagram, like, if you're introducing all these variables, then the end result becomes unstable. So when you're introducing new creative tests, right, and your results are already good, right, you already solved the problem of, can I spend more money, right? Then simply just spend more money, right? Now obviously, if you have a bad AMER or bad NCAC, right, then you can launch creative tests, and you can launch other tests. But until then, yeah, I wouldn't destabilize the funnel, and that's a contrarian view to what a lot of people have in this space at the moment. And just to branch off of that, like I was saying, like every 7 days, if the NCPA or the AMER is not where it needs to be, then I'm just simply launching creative tests to solve the problem in the funnel, right? So typically when you have an ad account, right, you have different you have different ads for different levels of the funnel, right? So you have a top of funnel ad, bottom of funnel ad, middle of funnel ads, right? So for example, right here, this is just today. As you can see right here, this is kind of an odd case. That's why you don't want to look at individual days, but more so rolling 7 days. But as you can see right here, DCT 283 has majority of spend, but the frequency is 1.3. So on average, a person saw this ad 1.3 times, and then this ad has a frequency of 1.1. So this sits a little higher in the funnel, and then you can also verify that with the CPM as well, right here, because usually more engaging ads that are more native to the platform, that are more top of funnel, that sit higher top of funnel, usually have a better user experience, and essentially you get discounted CPMs for that versus an ad like this, which is very direct response and essentially only appeals to people who already know about my brand, so it sits more bottom of funnel, right? Yeah, as you can see there. And essentially, you can also look at cost per 1,000 account centers reach. So essentially, CPM is essentially 1,000 impressions, cost per 1,000 impressions, which basically impression is defined as how many times somebody has seen an ad in total, right? So it can count the same for the same amount of it can count, it counts like an impression counts for the same person. Like a person can have 4 impressions, but cost per 1,000 account centers reach is essentially unique people, right? So you can see how many net new people you're reaching. So as you can see, this ad is top of funnel. It's bringing in more net new people into the business, right? With a cost per 1,000 account centers reach being a lot lower than this bottom of funnel ad, as you can see. And like I said, this is an anomaly because usually bottom of funnel ads have higher efficiency and better return on ad spend as opposed to a top of funnel ad. But that's why you want to look at rolling 7-day averages for that. Now, you want to limit the number of changes per week. So just like I said, day to day volatility is going to be up and down here and there, right? So that's why you want to look at rolling 7-day periods, 3-day periods, week over week, things of that nature, right? Because if I were to see, okay, this day, this ad is not doing too well, this ad's not doing too well, and I kill it, right? Then it's like, okay, boom, I just cut Michael Jordan from my team just because he had one bad game. You know what I'm saying? So you really need to limit the number of changes that you have per week inside the ad account. And what I found to notice is that the number of changes and ad account performance is inversely related in the sense that the more changes that you make, the more your performance is gonna shit the bed. You know what I'm saying? So if you're constantly in the ad account every hour, every day, killing things and really destabilizing the ad account in the machine, then you're really gonna see negative impacts. You know what I mean? Especially you're gonna throw ads and all your ad sets back into the learning phase, which is never good, right? So chaotic strategy. Oh shit. Now number two, why most people ads are not performing how they want to is they have misguided tweaks. So with media buying, there's a lot of nuance, right? In the sense that there's a lot of things that you have to juggle at one time. You know what I mean? You have to ensure that you're killing and scaling the right ads and campaigns, right? So here, for example, as you can see, this is just a screenshot from Google Ads. And as you can see, the ROAS, right, the return on ad spend is pretty good here, right? Let's scale it up. But if you actually look at it from a more practical standpoint, and if you do media mix modeling, MMM tools, you can actually see that what essentially Google Ads is attributing is essentially low intent demand capture or high intent demand capture in the sense that those people who are getting attributed to the sale have already been impacted from other channels and been driven from other channels. So like if I just search up my brand, for example, on here, it's not a good example here. Let me do something more like this. Yeah, so if I search up something like this, usually you get like the little sponsored. It's not shown right now for some reason, but usually you get like a sponsored post, right? And basically, those sponsored links, right? Those get attributed to the Google ad itself. You know what I'm saying? and it'll kind of count towards that. And then it also gets shown in like emails and other placements as well. So it's really not driving that much incremental lift when it comes to that. I don't know why it's not showing here the sponsor. They may have removed that recently. I'm not sure, but yeah. So that's one point. And then on here as well, just looking at optimization inside that campaign level or inside the ad level. When we open up a campaign, we can see for one of my campaigns, right, it's coming in at a 1.84 in platform ROAS, right? And as you can see, let me get my marker. As you can see right here, DCT 260 is coming at a 0.95 with triple whale and in platform 1.58. Now, relative to these other ones, this is coming in at a worse return on ad spend. So a lot of people would just say just to kill that ad. But as you can see, it's the top spending ad. So this is going to have the biggest impact on the ad account by removing this, because out of essentially $4,000 in ad spend, if you remove an ad that equates to a large percentage of that ad spend, then you're really going to destabilize the ad account. But as you can see here, just opening up the further metrics and looking at the further metrics, we're driving 84% 84% of the traffic that we're driving is from new visitors, right? That's the new visitor percentage. And compared to our other ads that have a higher ROAS, return on ad spend, right? This is essentially that bottom of funnel ad that we talked about earlier. And it's driving a 65% new visitor percentage. So that means about half of the traffic driven by this ad is by returning customers. So essentially, if you kill the top of funnel ad, then you're going to dry up this ad, and this return on ad spend is going to shit the bed. So you want to look at essentially your ad account as a ecosystem, and kind of like a basketball team or a football team, right? Like you can't have a team full of Michael Jordans, you know what I'm saying? Like you need a Scottie Pippen, you need a center, you need a big man, you need different players and different role players in order to have a cohesive, championship team, right? And that's ultimately how you have to run your ad account, and basically look at things from a more holistic perspective and look at your overall business performance. And you can really only know the impact of your ads and killing and introducing new ads if you're only isolating one variable at a time, like I mentioned earlier. But yeah, that's just kind of a trap that people fall into. And another thing, just diving into the actual in platform. As you can see, here's that top of funnel ad that we mentioned earlier. As you can see, the frequency is a lot lower. DCT 283, the CPM is higher. Cost per thousand count centers reach is higher as well. Frequency is also higher. So this is all indicators that this is a bottom of funnel ad. You know what I mean? With the cost of purchase being lower and the return on ad spend being higher. You know what I mean? So like I said, everything is an ecosystem. Things ads do not work in isolation, right? This is the ad that's introducing people to our business, and this is the ad that's converting people. You know what I'm saying? So it's important that we have both, right? And just going more into the misguided tweak side of things, with triple whale specifically and other attribution model tools, they have different attribution models and windows that you can look at. So for example, this is the triple attribution model, and as you can see, this is all with the same data set, as you can see here in the same time period. And essentially with the triple attribution model, we have a return on ad spend of 1.03. If we add view attributions into that, then it's 1.61. If we use a linear all model, then it's 0.66. And I'm not going to really go into depth on what all these attribution models mean, but it's just important that you don't get caught up in the noise and really understand what you're optimizing for. And at the end of the day, understand what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because all of this can just introduce a lot more confusion if you're not knowing what you're doing, because each attribution model has its own benefit and tool. Like you can use first click to identify prospecting ads and prospecting channels, and last click to identify your bottom of funnel ads and things that are leading to conversions, right? So like I said, it's a lot of nuance, and at the end of the day, it takes a lot of intuition, experience, and constant feedback loops, from lots of rounds of testings and losing money, quite honestly, to get that data. But moving to our final thing, that's just having poor fundamentals. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not seeing the results that you want with your ads, it's likely, either one, you have a chaotic strategy, misguided tweaks, or you have poor fundamentals. And what I mean by poor fundamentals is that, at the end of the day, ads only amplify a good business model. You know what I'm saying? So ads are really not going to make your business in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't have a good business model, then ads aren't really going to help you. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that fuel to that fire, right? You still need to have that good foundation and good base first, right? So it's essential that you have a good product, a product that's superior in the market. Like if you're selling an iPhone 4 in 2025, you're really not gonna make a dent in the market, and people are not gonna have that strong desire to purchase your product. When iPhone 17s exist, when Google Pixel 10s exist, things of that nature, right? So you need to have a superior product that really essentially sells itself, right? And then once you have that product, then you need to have a good offer, essentially. You know what I'm saying? Because if someone likes your product, but at the end of the day, if your offer is not good enough to compel them to buy, then you're really not going to convert any sales and make any meaningful, oh shit, what the fuck? Any meaningful money. You know what I mean? And last but not least, customer experience. So this is essentially you retaining your customer, right? So once you acquire a customer, can you retain a customer, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to build a brand that's sustainable, and with fashion specifically, right, you're looking at like a 50-50, 60-40, maybe 70-30 if you're in an aggressive growth phase, split when it comes to new to returning customers. You know what I mean? Now, if you kill your returning customer revenue and percentage, then you're essentially losing out on essentially where all the profits are. You know what I'm saying? So it's essential that you have a good customer experience, good customer service, good packaging, you know, something that you'll be proud to sell, and proud to say that's your business. You know what I mean? So that's really the three things that you need to have in lock. And really the only three reasons mainly why your ads aren't performing like you want it to. If you want more one-on-one help and guidance on how to solve these three things, then you can apply for my mentorship in the link in the description. Only have a few spots opening up soon. But yeah, if not, you guys can just keep consuming my content, and I'll see y'all in the next one.